Hello and welcome to the 4th Orkney Livewire podcast with me, Christian.
Me, Claire.
Me, Scott.
And we also have...
Pandy.
Mr. Pandy. Pandy the Axeman. We'll be speaking to him later on. So yeah, I've not been at any gigs since the last podcast, but I think Claire and Scott's been at several.
I was at the Electric Mother gig that was in the Motor House a couple of weeks ago. That was Steve's Leaving Do as well, wasn't it? So,
yeah, that was his swan song.
Yeah, and I was up in Shetland for the Uphellia, for the last of the Uphellias, the Delton one. So I got to see Throat Locust again, so it was me quite happy. And I also got to see the Dirty Lemons. So.
Excellent.
And Rack and Ruin, of course, your cousins. So it was a good weekend held up there. But and you, Scott?
I was at the Razormouth gig in the Motor House last week. I was their first ever gig, and I think they did really well. They played a lot of covers in that, but I was really happy that they had a few original songs that they played.
Yeah,
it's good feedback for that gig for what I've heard.
And for a first ever gig, nobody had really heard of them, apart from some of the stuff that they did on social media. Like they had a music video and things like that. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of people there.
I was going to say, I heard it was quite a busy gig.
Yeah.
So.
I couldn't move, I like to run around and check that the sound's all good everywhere, but I couldn't get out of my booth, so...
Oh well, it's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Pandy, but have you been anything live lately?
No, not a lot, to be honest.
Unless you've been playing at it.
Yeah, pretty much,
Oh well.
We did have a good weekend last weekend in Berlin for Mr. Will Scott's stag do. It was quite interesting.
With his broken wing.
Yeah, with one arm bandit.
One arm Willie.
Yeah, so we kind of embarrassed him going to the airport, and he was going through with a Justin Bieber t-shirt on and chaffed him up a bit. It was a plane full of Glaswegians, so they didn't actually notice that you'd been chaffed up a bit. They just give him a wee nod. Just give him a wee nod and away past. Right, big man.
Did you see any music over there?
Didn't actually. Well, no. No, I don't think so. I was in Ireland the weekend before, and I saw the typical Dublin pub live music in there.
We saw you on TV.
Yeah,
we did, a couple of times.
I am doing autographs now if you want.
What, this year?
This year, yeah. No, so I've been kind of busy, but no gigging really.
So going back to the Razormouth gig, I managed to catch up with the band the following day to get a few words. Present was Ryan Silver, vocals and bass, Tamlin Geddes Ward, drums, and Nicky Booth on guitar. And missing was Jarvis Walls on the guitar. Right, so that was your first gig in the Motor House. How do you think it went, guys?
I think it went pretty well. Yeah, I just can't wait to do more. It was just really exciting for our first ever gig. And yeah, just definitely more to come.
Yeah, I mean, we were all really, really nervous, like in the upcoming weeks to us doing it, and we were like, maybe we're not ready, but we smashed it. Am I allowed to swear? Because I was gonna. Fuck up. Yeah, we fucking smashed it. It was awesome. A good time was had by all.
Yeah, we just can't wait to do more. We want to do more live shows as much as possible.
You got another one on Friday, don't you?
Yeah.
In the Tour Vogue. Come down and see us if you missed us on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we might have some new songs by then, who knows, but we're still writing original material as well.
Pretty catchy one as far as I remember.
That's something that Orkney's really missing out on, is like a lot of the bands up here are just very, not necessarily the rock bands, just a lot of it's very vanilla, it's all other people's music. People should write their own music. It's not terribly hard, and you get to get some things off your chest, and everybody has a good time listening to your stuff.
What was the kind of highlights from the show last night? I seen some bras being thrown around. Like,
Yeah, definitely the bras. Yeah, more of them, please. No, I think just people joining in and getting involved. It really helps with our nerves.
Yeah.
And people are singing along. Yeah, helps a whole lot.
were you quite nervous beforehand?
Yeah, I was shitting myself. Didn't sleep for a week, and I had like several nervous poops. But it was worth it.
So where's Jarvie now then? He's obviously not here. This is the day after for anyone listening, and
He's probably dead.
He could be dead for all we know.
He might be face down in a ditch.
It's going to be, I think we're going to see if we can get pictures of Jarvis for Orkney Milk or something, just get the awareness of where the fuck he is. But no, like I think that this is good, you know, like if us four idiots can do it, you know, anybody can.
exactly.
You know?
Well, good luck next week, and it was good to see a new band going, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Tad Doyle of the band Tad, brothers of the Sonic Cloth, Hog Molly, and the Thomas Andrew Doyle Symphonic Experience, and you are listening to the Orkney Live Wire podcast.
So just a little disclaimer, at the time of recording that, the band kind of had their dates mixed up. The next show they're playing is on Friday the 13th of April, and that is in the Torvogue, so get down and check them out.
So we've got Andy Taylor here, otherwise known as Pandy.
Hello.
Can I refer to you as Pandy today?
You can refer to me as Pandy.
Grand. So you've got quite a long and illustrious career in music in Orkney, don't you? What age did you start at music?
Start playing in a band.
Yeah, well, just in general.
I started playing the guitar when I was 12, I think. Well, I played it before that, but I officially put down 12 as the start date. 'Cause that's when I haven't quit since then.
Oh, right, okay. Is that when you went up into the grammar school, or?
Yeah, but then.
Yeah. And did you find it easy to get into music then, or is it just something that you self-taught yourself, or?
Well, I always really liked it, and I took some guitar lessons when I was younger, and I just sort of took it from there. I don't really know how, it just stuck.
Yeah.
I never lost interest in it at all. But I always liked bands when I was younger, like I had Led Zeppelin CDs when I was like 8 or 9 or something. So.
Yeah, cool. And what was your first band that you were in?
The first band I was in was Blue Language.
What were they all about?
We were a cover band. It was me, Ryan Tulloch, Marcus Cordick, Andrew Seater, Dylan Pepper. But the lineup changed over the years, and Caleb came as well and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
We just played cover music and played at the Battle of the Bands at school, all that kind of stuff.
Battle of the Bands is a good platform for the youngsters to get involved back then, wasn't it?
It's good, yeah. I don't know if it's still on or not.
I don't think so at the grammar school, but the academy still does.
No.
Yeah. Something we're certainly looking into to fire up in the future. Yeah. So after that, you moved on to other bands. What was the next band after that?
I think the next band after that would have kind of been Chug. Because we all started to get into like heavy metal.
Who were our closing act at the festival last year?
Yes, we were indeed.
Went down a storm.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Chug then. And it's really hard to put this all in order. But I think it was Chug. And then, Bad Taste, and I forgot about that, yeah.
Of course, yeah. And that was with Cordick as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was kind of, I was getting into bluesy kind of stuff then.
So you've got quite a blues background as well. That seems to be more of your interest rather than...
Yeah.
Well, you could have quite an eclectic mix, obviously.
I think lots of different stuff, but I guess blues is kind of thing I've always sort of leaned towards the most. I mean, I love heavy metal and all that as well. But, I don't know, it's probably just to do with guitar indulgence more than anything else.
So you play locally with quite a few bands. You play with the likes of Rocker and Electric Mother as well, but you're also a successful musician in your own right with your own band, the Andrew Taylor Group.
Is that
the Andy Taylor Group or Andy Taylor Experience?
Group. Well, just whatever you want, really.
And it's seen a couple of different lineup changes as well. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, well, I suppose it came out of because we had bad taste in the go. Then Ian Craigie left because he went moved south.
Mhm.
So then, ding, and we became a 3-piece then. With Marcus, Dylan, and myself.
Mhm.
So then we thought we'd just get rid of the bad taste name and just name it like my own band kind of thing.
Mhm.
So that's kind of sort of a done thing in the blues world, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it just sort of went on from there. But me and Dylan pretty much were constantly always together in it. But the bass player sort of changed a bit every now and then.
Mhm. That's good.
It's just whoever was available, really.
And you've played various festivals away from Orkney as well as the Blues Festival here. What's
Yeah.
been your favourite one that you've played at?
We had some really good times down at Colin Blues Festival.
Was that last year, wasn't it? Yeah.
I always get made fun of because I can't say Colin properly. Sounds like I'm saying colon or something. But, yeah, it's quite a big festival. I mean, it had like Welcome Johnson from Dr. Feelgood was at, and
Yeah, I saw him at, I saw Dr. Feelgood at Belladrum last year. They were brilliant.
Yeah,
Really good.
yeah. It's quite good. Been twice to that now.
Mhm. And have you got anything lined up this year for festivals for yourself?
Not much this year, to be honest. I'm kind of concentrating on getting all this recording done,
For the Electric Mother stuff?
and for the Andy Taylor group.
And, all right,
I've
okay.
got 2 recordings that are going to go at the moment,
Mhm.
and it's kind of bitty how you do it because you can only do a little bit at a time with people's availability and that, which can't be helped. Mine too, with work and whatnot. So I'm just kind of concentrating on getting that finished.
Yeah. So is there a sort of final date for the Andy Taylor group EP or album to come out?
I'm hoping possibly by summer sometime.
Oh well,
Yeah.
something to look forward to then.
Yeah, I mean most of it's recorded, so
Mhm.
we just finished a lot of the vocals as well when Marcus was home last. So
Okay, and then you'll be looking to do a bit of touring and plugging then for
I'm gonna go nuts in it then.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, how would you describe your style, your influence? Obviously, you mentioned the blues there, so it is probably more blues oriented,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I'm a huge fan of Rory Gallagher.
Right,
Like
one
absolutely.
of Christian's favourites.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like my main man.
Hmm.
It's just everything he touches is gold.
And have you made the pilgrimage to Dublin as well?
No, I've been talking about it for 10 years, but I've not done it yet.
Coops, get on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got a great tribute festival in the town that he was born in Shannon.
yeah.
It's well worth a visit.
I need to go someday. I kind of want to go and play. So,
Yeah.
like, I want to go and enjoy it, but I want to go and do a gig at the same time.
Hmm.
But it's getting bigger and bigger, so it's harder to get into.
Well, what's happening is the festival gigs are gotten so big that the pubs get their own artists in now,
Right, yeah.
and so the whole town's buzzing basically. And yeah, there's the main event, and then there's all the pub gigs
Yeah.
around it. So
I need to look into it, see what I can do.
So obviously you write a lot of your own material. What is your songwriting approach? Is it just something you sit in a dark room, or do you go outside and
I suppose nowadays I have a 4-track recorder on my phone,
right?
so I pretty much don't really watch TV anymore, and just sit in my room and record riffs on my phone, and I guess I just take it from there.
Hmm. And for the lyrics as well.
So it's the last thing. Like
Yeah.
I'll have like a whole song finished, and like Marcus and Dylan, and that'll be like getting on to me about getting lyrics done, because I don't really see myself as much as a lyricist or whatever. But I get it done eventually. But
Yeah.
like for example, the last recording we did, I was writing the lyrics as I was recording it.
What influences or inspires your lyrics? Just the music itself?
Just I suppose most things. You tend to with blues stuff, you tend to always lean on singing about like a woman or
broken hearts and beer.
yeah, that kind of thing. I would like to write. I have written other subjects before, but I guess that's you kind of find yourself leaning against that. Not that it's like real life experiences or anything.
Yeah.
You know, some of it is, some of it's not. But
Yeah.
yeah, just usually that kind of subjects.
if you can throw a train in there, that helps for blues.
Trains and
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you decide on your set list when you're going out to gig? Because obviously you've got a lot of material now. So
if we're really organised, we'll have a set sort of like pre-made, and like if we're going to wait to play at the festivals and that, But if we're playing it like the Moorhouse, like last minute, it'll just be sort of like thrown together on the night.
Written
Yeah,
in the back of a hanky.
As we go, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the music scene in Orkney at the moment, the current music scene?
I think it's pretty good. I think there seems to be a few bands coming out of the woodwork again. It kind of goes up and down. It's like really quiet for a while, and then somebody starts a band up or starts a few bands up, and it's quite good. And this was the Motorhouse. I've always kind of seen that as a kind of hub, as where you play as a band.
It does seem to be sort of the main live music venue, doesn't it? It's sort of evolved into that now.
When we were younger, we couldn't wait to play in the Motorhouse, but we were shitting our pants at the same time.
Is that when you were underage? Or?
We were underage, yeah.
No, it's good that it gives youngsters in particular a platform to perform. So what do you not like about gigging? What's the thing that annoys you when you're playing?
I don't know. People falling into you. That's a bit of a pain in the ass.
That's a popular one.
Yeah.
I had a microphone in the teeth a couple of times.
Ouch.
That was sore. I suppose the most embarrassing thing that can happen, except from completely messing someone up live on stage, is something I quite often do is headbutt the microphone by accident and then have a pretty look around the room to see if anybody's noticed. And there's always one person sitting laughing at you.
And I was going to ask you, what is your favourite gig that you've ever performed?
I tell you what was really, really good was when Rocker went to Kerrymuir the first time we went, and we played on the Friday night on the main stage, and it was just something quite special because it was. I think it was maybe for the first time for me. It was like playing through a massive PA,
right?
Like a huge PA, and your guitar like at the sound check, you play it, just strum a chord in it, and the whole room just like filled to bits. And I was like, that's where I want to be.
So one of my favourite gigs that I saw you at was obviously Rockers were playing at the Classic Grand.
Oh yeah,
the same weekend as AC/DC, and it was just like home from home. It was
It's just Orkney and Shetland.
It was Orkney, Shetland, and the Western Isles, wall to wall. It was brilliant.
That was an excellent gig. I really enjoyed that. The venue was not ready for it though.
I don't think so.
When we arrived, they thought, oh, here's just some little Orkney band that's booked this venue, and they thought there'd be maybe 50 people there, if that.
Yeah.
And the place was sold out.
And they ran out of drink.
They ran out of vodka.
Yeah.
And lots of other drink, and that was, you can imagine, for Arcadians and Shetlanders, that's like sacrilege. But yeah, it was good.
It was a great atmosphere as well.
I was pretty pumped that night.
Yeah, I do have some great photos of that night.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been we put a word out on our Livewire page on Facebook for a few questions. I think you know what's coming because you've probably seen some of them.
I've seen some of them.
So
yeah.
I'll pass you over to Scott and Christian to ask some of these questions for you.
Crack at, you can ask me anything you want.
Okay. We'll start with Caleb Fraser asking, will Anthrax make his return? And he says that's a wrestler, so you want to go into that a bit?
Yep, I think you're going back to me and Marcus Cordick's wrestling days there in the back garden. I was a lot fitter back then, and I don't think I could have a wrestling match now without seriously damaging myself.
Was it Kid Lightning? Was that your nemesis?
Kid Lightning and Anthrax. It was like serious times like that.
So who would win in a
real fight?
Yeah.
Probably me. I would think.
Kid Lightning's just all talking. He's
all talk. Pigeon chest, that's what I used to call it.
Paul Harcus is asking whatever happened to Blood Mortal.
That was like a band that me and Ryan Tulloch tried to put together of like grindcore music.
Okay.
But it was a complete piss take. In fact, actually, a couple of months ago, I was tidying up a cupboard in my house and I found a couple of lyric sheets from that band.
Okay.
And like, I know you can swear on this podcast, but I wouldn't even repeat that lyrics on this. It made me laugh anyway.
We've got Nessa the dog in here.
Aye.
It's the Orkney Livewire official dog. So if you hear some funny noises, it could
That's
be coming
just
from.
Pandy.
That's just me.
Emma Anderson is asking if you got any piercings at Bloodstock.
Yes.
And are you allowed to divulge where they are?
I got my left nipple pierced, but I've taken it out since because it gets in the way at work and it just caught and everything.
Yeah.
I was getting sick of
I
it.
think I do remember sort of drunkenly seeing it one night.
I think everybody got to see it.
Callum Elder asks, have you ever worked somewhere where John Brown has not?
Me and John are like a power unit. What they do is when companies are starting to go down the pad, they sit at the board of directors table and they say, we're going to have to get John and Pandy in. So basically,
It's like the A-team.
Yeah, we're like the A-team, so we go in there. We're at the moment, we're saving Scottish Sea Farms for bankruptcy.
It was previously Flotta, was it?
It was Flotta before. Flotta's really good now.
Yeah.
It's coming back in a big way.
Sorted, yeah.
Jimmy D, he's asking if he can have your Les Paul.
He's actually spoken to me about this in the past. I've told him he can't have it, but if he ever wants a shot at it, he can do that if he's in Orkney.
You could trade him his dreadlocks for the Les Paul.
Is that something that we can see at the upcoming gig? Obviously, Rocker are supporting 10 Ton
Yeah,
Dozer in a couple of weeks. So.
If Jamie, if you get back to me and you want a shot of the Les Paul at the 10 Ton Dozer gig in Orkney, you can have a shot. That's a
Had it
deal.
here first. Bob McGregor's wondering how many cats Carol actually has.
I'm not going to answer that because you'll have to wait for the Livewire interviews Pandy's mother the podcast. But I can't even take a guess at that because it's out of hand. I'm going to tell you that. Sorry, Mum.
I'm going to ask you two here because they're kind of linked.
Okay.
Roy Perry asks, is it the drams in the water that make Bury such a hotbed for talent? And then Retson, is it Retz? Yeah, Retson asks, what happens at the crossroads?
Well, Bury is... There's been a lot of musicians out of Bury, I suppose. I don't know if it's the drams in the water. I know we certainly like drams anyway. And the crossroads is... well, you have to be from Bury to know about that. So, sorry.
It's like the secret Masonic Society of Bury.
It kind of is, yeah.
No, there's more to it. I thought it was just a
That's what
Robert
it-
Johnston.
Oh, it goes deeper than
No.
Robert
It
Johnson.
goes deeper than Robert.
Yeah.
If you could revive any of the previous bands that you've been in
Mm-hmm.
and not going to go now, which one would it be?
Oh, I think I would probably do Blue Language for a laugh.
Yeah.
I think it would be quite funny. It'd be quite a good night. I don't know if it'll ever happen though. Probably not.
Ross Stevenson asks, do you think John Brown loves you as much as sriracha sauce and spag ball?
Probably not. The Jones' love for sriracha sauce and spag ball, and also Oasis, is unbreakable at the moment. He's like a heroin addict to that stuff.
Is that what he'd been on the other night after we were out?
Oh, he's just nuts on the hot sauce at the moment. And we gave him a sweetie the other day at work that was, I had some kind of Reaper chili in it, and he was just about sick off the side of the boat. But he's just loving it.
And then the farts that was coming out afterwards were a bit...
Marcus Cordick's asking, what was one of the standout moments of this year's Six Nations?
Well, I don't know. Probably when Scotland beat England, I guess. Did that happen? It did.
That happened, yeah.
I'm not really a sports follower, to be honest.
It's good answers though.
Yeah. Probably when Scotland teed off, that was quite good at the start, and they got to the green. That's the
Got
right
an
sport,
eagle.
isn't it?
Coops appeared on Scotland.
Yeah, when you appeared, cool.
That
So,
good stuff.
it's always good to see on the TV.
It's better than England's. Scotland beating England.
Scottish steampunk fans.
Daniel Drever asks, does a little bit of piss come out every time you solo?
I'm actually sponsored by Pampers now for those moments.
That would be a messy gig. I think that kind of wraps up the Facebook questions.
Yeah.
Well, there's one more from Marcus Cordick who asks, what's the worst thing you've ever done, which I believe is really anything.
The worst thing I've ever done. That's a bit vague. I mean, Marcus has probably got an idea of what that is. I don't even have anything in mind, but no, I don't think I can answer that. The worst thing I've ever done.
I think Marcus is going to have to get back to us with a story about that one, obviously.
Well, there's probably quite a few, to be honest. Never mind. What about Marcus? What's the worst thing he's ever done? I'm going to officially put that out to him right now.
Well, we'll hopefully get him on one day and we'll ask him.
I know what it is.
Thank you very much for coming in and exposing all
No problem.
to the internet.
He is sitting here naked, by the way.
Certainly Live Wire Naked Podcast. Thank you for listening.
You are listening to the Orkney Live Wire podcast.
You are listening to the Orkney Live Wire podcast.
So now we're going to move on to the second part in our mini-series of interviews with the band Fit to Work, the Orcadian-born, Glasgow-based outfit. This month, our accomplished correspondent Andrew Stewart spoke to bass player Duncan Harcus to hear his story.
Kirkwall native Duncan Harcus is currently part of a kind of Orcadian super group of musicians called Fit to Work. Taking up bass duties with a Glasgow-based hardcore outfit, he joined 3 of his former school and bandmates, Cradle of Filth bassist Daniel Firth, professional drummer Ian Stewart and poet and performer Harry Giles. However, while his 3 bandmates had spent the last 10 years carving out careers as performers, Duncan had moved away from music, instead establishing a career in international education and pursuing other hobbies and interests. I recently spoke with him about his early interest in music, his 10-year break from performing, and what it's been like to return to the stage.
I can remember my mum in particular would be quite kind of astonished by the fact that I could just listen to a song on the TV or on the radio, or even take a request from her and just kind of learn to figure it out and play it quite quickly on the keyboard.
Right.
And that then really sort of carried on into the guitar, which I picked up maybe a few years later when I was about 10 years old, and again didn't seem to have that much interest in theory and figuring out everything, the kind of building blocks of it all, but I'd say I was quite good at just listening to things and learning it that way, and I was really happy just sort of sitting and working it out like that. So and that's kind of carried through all the way to nowadays, where I still don't really have that much, it's a bit better than it was a few years ago, my theory, but it's just something that I've kind of struggled on without and just almost worn it as a badge of pride, kind of. I can imagine maybe when I retire in 30 or 40 years, I might go and learn a bit of theory and see what I've been missing out on, but otherwise I'm just kind of carrying on as I always have done.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of actual music I was in as well, music that I was into, there was a kind of Japanese hair metal band that my brother was listening to, and that was kind of the first bit of music that I got into, and it was again just listening to what people around me were listening to rather than any kind of direct exploration of my own.
Can you remember the name of that Japanese hair metal band?
Yeah, they were called Bow Wow. I think at one point they were called Bow Wow with a B, and then they changed as if that was going to do them any good. And yeah, it was so cheesy, such just cheesy choruses, just belting it out with just crazy power. I think Power is actually one of the songs. They had another cheesy one called Helter Skelter, I think, and yeah, they were madly cheesy. I brought them into school, the cassette that my brother left lying around, and I think nobody at school made anything good of it, and I think I just went home embarrassed.
Right. Can you think of any big milestones that kept you listening and learning? Any big influences, or playing with friends or anything like that just kept you ticking away with music?
I think the first bit of kind of positive reinforcement I had was probably from the music teacher at Patdale Primary School, which was, I think it was Mrs. Gray. I'm sure loads of folk in Orkney will remember her, but she was quite encouraging, and even though I wasn't necessarily that great at the kind of more brainy side of it, working with scales and all that, I think she just thought that I had a bit of a knack for playing and picking up technique quite quickly. So that really sort of spurred me on and made me think, oh, well, maybe I actually can be quite good at this. So I always sort of carried it on even after primary school, and where I didn't have any formal, I didn't do music at school really, apart from first and second year like everyone does. So I just sort of kept it going kind of on my own steam. And I think it was really the friends that I had around me that kept me kind of interested in music. and we were all quite geeky and just had that kind of quite geeky and quizzical kind of nature to us, where we'd always be interested in things and discovering stuff and sharing it with each other, and I think that was mainly what kind of kept me going with music, was just kind of picking the best things out of what all my friends were doing, and listening to.
Right. Skipping forward a bit to grammar school, that was when you started doing a fair amount of performances, probably most memorably with Chicken Wing. Can you remember much about your first gig?
Yeah, so I think the first time we played live, it wasn't really a gig, it was more just, there was a gig going on. It was a friend's 16th birthday, I think, and there was another band playing, and they just kind of had a bit of an interval, and thankfully they agreed to let us pick up the instruments and have a go ourselves. I think we played 2 songs. No idea how good or bad it was, but all I seem to remember was that there was loads of folk jumping up and down and seemed to be having a good time. And I got really kind of wobbly legs as well, which is a sensation I don't think I'd ever had before. So, yeah, that kind of showed me that I was a bit nervous, and it was something that carried on into like university life as well. And I think it's only really with my current job, where I do a lot of public speaking, that I managed to get rid of that. So it's quite nice that the second time round with Fit to Work, I don't have that kind of thing to deal with. But yeah, another good gig with like, or back in the day at school anyway, was with the Duffers. That was the Fusion, I think the very first Battle of the Bands that Fusion did. I think we went down pretty well, and we got through to the final. And again, that was like a good bit of positive reinforcement, where it's like, oh, actually I think we're doing quite well. Yeah, the Duffers were a sort of swing punk band that I had for a while, and Ian was actually the drummer in that band as well. Yeah, it was good times to look back on, but I think it ended when it should have ended as well, and I'm kind of glad in a way that it didn't carry on into my adulthood. Right,
okay. That was what I was going to ask about next, was your sort of absence from playing music. I don't know if you were still playing at home or anything like that, or you still had a big interest. Can you talk a bit about, what led you to take this long break from playing with bands?
I suppose it just kind of started off when I left Orkney and went to university. To start off with, we were trying quite consciously to keep some chicken wing gigs going on now and then, just like when we were back at Christmas. In fact, Daniel Firth very kindly bought me a kind of like small travel guitar. It had like almost no body to it, and it was really light, and he could just post it over to France quite easily, where I was studying abroad. And we did a couple of gigs, while we were all away or at uni or whatever, and they were fine enough, but I think we all just started to have slightly different interests. Like, we're all into different types of music. Ian especially, I think, wasn't enjoying some of the kind of prog metal type stuff that we were playing. He was just more into just going hell for leather the whole time. And we were even kind of into different instruments, some of us as well, than what we were actually doing in the band. So I think we just kind of made a bit of a natural decision to let it die a death, and with a bit of dignity, I suppose. And then really carrying on through uni, I was more interested in, I was doing a lot of studying, and I was playing a lot of football and climbing and running and just keeping fit, really. And I just didn't seem to have that much of a desire to pick up the guitar all that much. I think maybe like I'd have a sort of monthly afternoon of playing, and other than that, I was quite happy to just have it as a really minor hobby, I suppose, more than anything else. And it kind of carried on that way for about maybe 10 or so years.
Right. Okay. But you've come back with Fit to Work, with a band around you of fairly accomplished musicians or performers. When were you approached about Fit to Work, or did it just start off as let's just have a jam one day?
I think it was actually a really quite definite decision between me and Daniel. I think I'd not long since moved to Glasgow from Aberdeen, where I'd been for about 10 years, just at uni and then working. Kind of started a career in international education, and then got quite a nice new job in Glasgow. And at that point, I think I just thought maybe it's time to relax a bit and just pick up that old hobby and start taking it maybe a bit more seriously. I think there's maybe a little element of kind of retrospect and regret in mind. But yeah, Daniel certainly wanted to start a hardcore punk band, and ideally a quite political one as well. And I think, first of all, he and I just wrote maybe 2 songs together. and we didn't really have anyone else in mind at that point, but we then kind of drafted Ian in and met up with them and jammed them out a bit. And then a good while later, we got Harry involved, and it just all kind of started fitting into place. It was a bit strange kind of having that school reunion element to it, but we all just got on again like a house on fire, like really, really naturally. And I think the slight element of them being sort of, you know, more or less professional artists, whereas I was just a kind of guy in an office that was trying to pick up his wee hobby again, was a bit strange. But it was, because it's a punk band as well, I think you can kind of hide behind some of the noise a little bit. And I never really felt like it was really imposing or anything like that. So it just started off really naturally. And I think if it didn't go well, we wouldn't have tried to carry on doing it, but it just happened to go a lot better than I think any of us expected, so we're still here.
Yeah. Has it just felt like when you played before, or have you sort of taken a new mindset towards playing live music?
I think I definitely feel a lot more comfortable just playing with the band, even if it's in rehearsal kind of situation, or certainly a lot more so live. I think I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants when I was at school. I probably hadn't quite rehearsed enough and was a bit cocky and thought I'd be fine with it. And then when I was on stage and you get a bit of nerves, you can kind of make a lot more mistakes. But nowadays I feel like, you know, I know how much time you need to put into it to make it work, and I'm able to do that. And I think dropping down to bass as well was quite a strange one for me. And I think it's actually worked out really well. I think there was kind of a strange element of the pressure was on when initially I was playing guitar in Fit to Work, and then our original bassist, Ian Thompson, who's quite involved with the Orkney Rock Festival, he decided to leave Glasgow and move back to Orkney, and then I, you know, switched to bass, just sort of volunteered to do that. So it kind of felt like the pressure was off because nobody was really legitimately expecting me to be any good at the bass, but the pressure was also kind of on because I was in this, you know, starting to get quite serious band that I then had to, you know, try and be quite good at the bass with it. So Daniel helped me out a lot with that, and a lot of it was just kind of applying some of the techniques I had in guitar. You know, like I've always kind of played rhythm guitar when I was younger, so it was just having that really steady right hand and being able to kind of batter it out and almost treat it more as a rhythm section than melody, really, and it just sort of went quite well.
Right, okay. Have you found the whole experience of being in a band has changed much in the 10 years you're away? I mean, what I've got in mind there is the sort of presence on social media that bands can have now. They don't necessarily have to have that, but that can't have been such a big thing. I think maybe the biggest one was like Bebo, back when Chicken Wing was about. But it seems like something you've kind of come to quite deftly, you know?
Yeah, I think there's definitely elements of my job that I think I bring into the band sort of scenario. So like I used to do quite a lot of travelling with my job, and I really like the kind of organisational element of that. So, you know, figuring out where everyone's needing to be and when, and like event organisation and stuff like that. And social media kind of comes into that as well. And I think I consider myself to be quite a fairly well organised and quite proactive person. So if I feel like there's any kind of benefit to be had from doing something like social media, you know, as part of the band, then I'm just going to naturally put aside the time to do it and try and make it work. Sometimes it can just totally feel like you're shouting into an empty cavern, and then other times it can work out pretty well. I mean, I think we've got quite a lot of gig offers out of it, and pretty sure we've sold a few extra CDs online as well. Although that's another thing; it can be really difficult to tell whether it's the social media that's doing it or it's word of mouth and other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there's also like quite a few really great communities online that are all driven by social media. There's like kind of unsigned artist groups and things like that, and internet radio as well. So we've actually got a bit of airtime out of some of the stuff we've done on social media too. So yes, I certainly think it has potential, but it is quite strange trying to find that balance between, you know, being a punk band, and there's a lot of kind of aesthetic and often, you know, morals and politics and things that go with that, and then trying to be on social media, which they can be quite kind of counteractive with each other, because it's kind of uncool, I suppose, to be really like shouting about yourself on social media when you're a punk band and trying to be a bit modest and a bit kind of anti-system in a way as well.
Yeah. Just to go back a little bit and talk about going to work with the three guys that you have again. Obviously, you had played in bands with them before. Had you played in a band with Harry?
I don't think I had. No, he certainly was in a couple of bands when we were at high school together.
Right.
They were very silly bands that were just kind of put together for the sake of entering like the school battle of the bands and things. But I seem to remember Harry was quite a good kind of like a front man kind of persona.
Yeah.
Very charismatic. But it all still was a really big surprise when we all got together again, and just to see Harry managing to front this punk band and put together those like really quite crazy lyrics and really well put together lyrics. You know, Harry's a kind of professional poet these days, so it didn't really occur to us before we kind of all got together that Harry was even an option. We hadn't really seen Harry for like 10 years, and then I think Ian just sort of they both bumped into each other in the street in Glasgow, and as soon as I got a text, I think from Ian saying, "Oh, Harry's gonna have a go at joining the band, what do you think?" And I just thought, oh wow, that's actually got potential to be pretty great, just with the way that Harry's kind of career and everything's gone for the last several years. It could just really come together, and this could be a bit of a highlight, hopefully. So hoping that Harry's enjoyed it as much as I've kind of enjoyed watching Harry get on with it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you, was the sort of difference you'd seen in these three guys that you'd played with 10 years ago, but whereas you'd gone and started a career away from music, they had taken that, you know, as far as they could and become professional musicians, or in Harry's case, a poet. So they were working on this stuff while you were creating your career. What was that like to you know, did you see a big difference in those guys, their abilities and stuff?
I certainly think with Daniel there was a big difference, because you know, the last time that Daniel and I played together, I was maybe arguably slightly better on the guitar than he was, although he was maybe just about overtaken me by the time I went off to uni. And then now he's just an absolute beast on bass and guitar, and he's got so much more theory to him, and his writing is brilliant. He writes things so quickly, whereas it takes me an absolute age to sit and, you know, write a couple of minutes of music, and he can just churn it out in just about that couple of minutes. So that was a huge difference, and just the confidence that he has with that as well, and obviously the experience with the amount of gigs that he's played with Cradle of Filth and Man Must Die as well, and even some of the other sort of, like, he was in a Misfits cover band as well. Ian, I think, oddly, although he must have clocked a crazy number of hours of gigging since the last time we played together, there's not been a huge amount of change that I've felt, maybe because I'm a little bit rubbish at drums myself and don't have that level of kind of understanding of it, but I think Ian's just always been absolutely phenomenal on the drums. I just remember he used to totally blow people away when we were in bands at school, and he's just kind of carried on. So it was a bit strange seeing the two very different, you know, one quite big change in the way that Daniel's gone, and then kind of an almost anti-change in Ian. But it's both suited them really well, and yeah, it's been great playing with him again as well.
Was it intimidating at all to approach that again? I suppose you took kind of baby steps in that you met up with Daniel, and then you included Ian, and then you included Harry. So it wasn't just like, you know, we're going to go and do this thing and we're going to play this gig at this time. But did you feel intimidated at all by going back to it?
Yeah, certainly to some extent. I do remember feeling like I had a bit of a complex about my playing, and it really gave me the drive that I needed to kind of get back up to speed with where I was, you know, several years ago when I was playing a lot more regularly, and hopefully kind of go beyond that a bit as well. Obviously the added complication of switching from guitar to bass came in too, but I actually think that's really helped. It's just kind of allowed me to focus on something rather than, you know, having to fix bad habits that I maybe have with the guitar. I was able to just almost start completely afresh with the bass, but using some of the same sort of principles. So, and you know, the guys, they're not really, you know, taskmasters, and they don't have really high standards with how everything should be. So they're quite kind of forgiving with my kind of learning process with it. And you know, sometimes when we were recording that EP, I'd not long since really picked up a bass for the first time. So they were quite happy for me to do a good few takes with it as well, and you know, no one was getting frustrated with each other and all that kind of stuff. And I think that just comes with us being such a good old group of mates as well.
Right. So you've got a second EP coming together for Fit to Work as well, don't you?
We do, yeah. We've played just about all the songs live quite a few times. In fact, ever since the first EP launch that we did back in July last year, we actually had songs already over and above that. But we've just been kind of gradually working on it. There was a couple, or at least one, I think, where we had it already, and it was a song. We even played it at Orkney Rock Festival, I think. It was called Art Is Bad, and we just decided to scrap that one because we weren't quite feeling it. I mean, it was coming together live okay, but I think the thought of going and recording it, we just decided to leave it. So we're quite kind of flexible with that. And then with the recording of it so far, I think Ian's done the drums for it, and then with Daniel being away, we've kind of had to do a bit of a pause, but we'll all get back together soon and finish it off. But we've got a definite idea of what all the songs are gonna sound like, and Harry's got all the lyrics, and I think there's one song on there that we've not played live yet, and it's actually in 3/4 timing, so it's kind of technically a waltz, I suppose, but I don't know if there's such thing as a grindcore punk waltz, but maybe this could be the first one.
That sounds pretty interesting. Do you have plans away from Fit to Work for music from now on, or is Fit to Work sort of your musical outlet?
I certainly think that at the moment, or for the time being anyway, Fit to Work has really kind of scratched the musical itch that I had built up for the last couple of years. But there has been some chat with some other pals about doing a couple of different projects. There's one where we're going to hopefully just get some loop pedals, one guitar and one bass, and just do lots of crazy layered stuff, and maybe try and take that into a pub somewhere in Glasgow. There's been talk towards doing maybe a kind of stoner metal band as well. It's just a lot more kind of riff based. So I'm certainly open to it, but I think with this break that I've had from Fit to Work, it's actually quite a while since I've picked up the bass or a guitar, so I'm kind of happy just, going back to my old self almost. But I think that's only really with it in mind that we are going to get back together soon and get a second kind of cycle of recording and touring, or at least just a few gigs here and there on the go. One more really strange project that we've got coming up as well is with the National Library of Scotland, who've kind of commissioned us to write a song about a maths exam paper from like the 1960s.
Right.
So there's only one way that can go, hopefully, and that's just ridiculously weird and hopefully ridiculously wonderful as well. So I think Harry will take to that really well, because Harry used to be basically a kind of maths genius at school. He was a couple of years ahead of us all the time, so it'll be weird seeing how he manages to kind of get hold of that and turn it into some probably quite bizarre lyrics. And we're trying to fit the music around the themes that are in the exam paper as well. So yeah, that's going to be a really strange one.
Yeah, that sounds like something that will be very interesting to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, I hope that the National Library of Scotland have a remote clue what they're in for. I'm hoping they've properly checked us out and know what they signed up for.
Pump me
Hi, this is Christian Cooper, Count of Donner's Bray, Protector of the Realm, Guardian of the PDC, Jesus Christ Imposter and Vol Slayer, and you are listening to the Orkney Live Wire podcast.
So what you just heard there was a song by the Duffers that Duncan sent in to us, and that was called Round and Round. Now last week, Claire and Smid infiltrated Pandy's house in Bury, where an electric mother practice was taking place. They sat down with the band to ask a few questions.
So I'm here with Electric Mother, and we've got a little chat going on here over a cup of tea and some biscuits. How are you all doing, guys?
Good. Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you stay quiet.
I'm great, thank you. I was eating biscuits, so.
So obviously you've been on the go for about 4.5, nearly 5 years now. We're just wondering, I know, really. And your debut was at the first rock festival, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did Electric Mother come about in the first place?
Don't choke in your biscuit.
No, me and Pandy worked on floor. And we were
scrubbing flanges.
And scrubbing. We used to walk around and round the tanks because we were that bored. It was 12-hour days just doing fuck all on floor. Kind of like everybody else, but we they walked around the tanks and me and Pandy were talking about getting a band together for ages. It was a good year probably.
Yeah.
A year speaking about it, and then Pandy had a pretty fancy on Callum as a singer, so he kind of...
It's a handsome looking boy that you know.
Yeah, who doesn't really?
Wanted Callum to start singing though. But then that was kind of it, was it, to begin with?
Pretty much, yeah.
We just kind of...
You came up to me and Helgi's absolutely pashed.
Yeah, bye, come and sing in the band. And I said, oh yeah, no bother.
I hadn't done anything for about 9 years, I think. I just thought, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen?
Seems to have panned out alright.
Life-changing decision.
So, do you want to describe your style? What style of music do you think you are?
Like fat and juicy.
I've seen, was it...
know what type of women you like.
Is it stoner doom that I've seen you describe on Facebook, is it? Or metal? Or?
Well, we get kind of tagged as stoner, which is good, I guess, because we've gotten a lot of that, but I wouldn't say we're particularly stoner-ish.
No.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty heavy, and then there's some good kind of song structures. I wouldn't say we're particularly stoner, but it's gotten us quite far, really. We want a stoner CD on classic rock for it, so why not?
If somebody wants to stick a label on it?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Can't label us.
That's that cliched thing to say. Oh, we're no label, mate. No, can't label us.
So, as a band, what are your influences?
Oh, I think everybody's got different influences for me.
Would you want to start, John?
Put me on the spot here now. Yeah, I do like a bit of Down, yeah. Alice in Chains and a lot of kind of grungy stuff. But then I kind of started listening more of that because I've been in the band with you. You like all your pedal jam and things. But yeah, just I like Audio Slave and things like that, all that kind of shit.
Mix of stuff, yeah. Callum?
Yeah, I like a lot of grungy stuff, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, things like that. Like Deftones, Mastodon, yeah, just any kind of rock really. I'm not too fussy.
Yeah.
I like pretty heavy stuff, kind of extreme metal, all that kind of side of things. But as far as influences goes, anything really, you know, could be listening to ABBA or Paul Simon when I was younger. Seriously, so it could be that or just everyday life, you know. So yeah, but musically, it's kind of things like late 80s death metal and extreme metal, kind of like bolt through or Carcass kind of idea. So
obviously you've had a couple of line-up changes since the band's inception. You had Ian Tulloch originally on guitar, wasn't it?
The Murderman.
Who was replaced by yourself, Rob.
That's very true, yeah.
And we've just had the very sad departure of Stephen.
He's not dead.
He's not dead, but yes, mate.
We left him with a band.
Are we allowed to say who the new
Of course, yeah.
Yeah? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Ian. I play bass.
There you go, that's an introduction for you.
Mr. Ian Thompson.
So that might be a bit of a surprise for a few folk, is it?
Well, probably. Yeah, but
I was surprised. You know what you do here.
Oh fuck, that's right.
What sort of background do you come from musically?
I was the same as anyone who grew up in that era where, like, if you're at KGS, you played a Battle of the Bands kind of thing. So I grew up on started on Jimi Hendrix, and then by the time I got to about 15, 16, I got into Caius, and then pretty much since then, the older I get, the heavier the music I get into. So now it's a lot of stoner, doom, psychedelic stuff. Just because I'm thinking I'm old enough now, it's okay. It's okay to be old and get into heavier music. It's like
You're not trying to follow a trend or anything.
I'm not going to start playing folk with a Slayer t-shirt. Going like, look, I really am into metal, but
I've just passed it.
I just thought, it's okay to be into sort of like fine. Go online about 11th night and say like, I wonder what kind of Greek stoner scene there is, and every country has a stoner band, so you can just go and find them. It's a lot of fun, and you can drink a lot when you're doing it. That's every weekend.
No, that's good.
Yes.
Pandy,
What's that?
what influences you?
Oh, just the waves and the shore and the sky.
Musically, what influence?
Quite enough. At the moment, I seem to be listening to a lot of 60s British blues bands.
Yeah.
Gay. All the boys know that blues is kind of my thing.
Yeah. So you write a lot of your own material. What would you say?
We write all our own material.
All your own material. We play covers as well. So that's why.
Occasionally, sorry.
Yeah, you're pretty. But so, what would you say is your approach to writing music?
Whoever's got a riff or whoever's got an idea just takes it in. If they've got an idea for a song, all the better. If not, we jam it out. That's it.
A lot of times it's piecing riffs together.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I've got a bit that fits with this bit. Somebody else has this bit. John wants to work on this drum beat. Cam's got this harmony.
So it really is a group
melody.
effort between you, isn't it?
Can be, yeah. But there's no set. There's nothing set in stone as far as things go. So.
And are you going to get in on the writing as well?
Yeah,
definitely.
Hope so. I've only been in for about a week or so, but yeah, I've always liked writing music, so it always takes me, because I've played in bands for years. Every time I've played in lots of different styles of bands, so it takes me a while to sort of work out what kind of songwriting works, because I've been like a sort of melodic jazz indie band, and the way you write songs there is totally different from what you write if you're writing heavier stuff. But it's always cool, just every time you join the band, it's sort of a bunch of different people, so the chemistry between you of how you sort of put together songs is different. So that's part of the fun of actually being in a band, is seeing what the hell you can turn out.
See what chemistry there is there. Definitely.
And obviously you've touched about your earlier career starting off at the Battle of the Bands, and is that how most of you have gotten into music and into performing and stuff through it in Orkney from when you were young?
Yeah, Battle of the Bands is always there, you know.
1993 or something like that.
I remember that one. I was
I'd have probably been still winning that bit of bait then.
Andrew Pandy Taylor, laughing at us,
That conjures up some images.
I was down.
Baby girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think my first ever public performance was at the Strumness Academy Battle of the Bands, and I sang I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. I think that was before my balls dropped.
Brilliant. So do you think there's...
I remember
Do you think that there's the same opportunities for the youngsters nowadays getting into music than there was back then?
Probably more so, because there's organisations like Livewire and things like that. So there's things to encourage, and also it's another generation thing. Like my son's right into playing the drums.
Of course, yeah.
So I encourage that as much as I can. So I think there's more opportunities, especially for like other things other than folk, I guess, really, because that was something that's really kind of pushed in schools as folk music. But it's okay to like heavy stuff now as well, so that's cool.
So, going back to the band itself, how do you decide on your set list? Out of a mixture of your covers and your own stuff when you play?
Depends if we're going to be organised for a gig.
It depends which gig we're playing and how long a set we have. If it's a set where we're playing all night, we usually try and include some covers as well as our own stuff, and generally ask what people want to hear, really, that we've played before.
There's a bit of fun involved in that, kind of making the set towards the fans and judging how the night's going. But if it's like if we've got to hit it running, like
the metal to the masses thing.
Yeah, we really got to be on the ball and pull out your best stuff straight away. We might choose a slightly easier song or something that's maybe gonna be more effective. Grab their attention and something we can play straight off. Like, well, we're confident with more of it, and then go into our set like more so kind of more complicated stuff.
And do you have a favourite song out of yours that you like playing, or is it just all
with a new bassist, everything seems to be a brand new favourite. So there you go.
It's a fresh twist, yeah.
Yeah, it adds a different dimension to things. So everything seems brand new again. So
not Gigolo.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Even Gigolo.
Is it a bit tired now? Is it? So.
No, I fucking hate it.
But the new bassist might bring something to it.
Should do a Gigolo reprise, just the opposite.
The opposite. No. Just put it to bed where it belongs.
So what do you guys do outside of performing to relax? Do you have any hobbies or interests outside of music?
Cooking,
drinking,
collecting LPs, listening to them, just collecting music. Callum gets really high watching sports.
Skiing, like slalom skiing.
No, that conjures up a completely different image.
That's what you look like when you're doing that. Oh no. Yeah. Not a rowing machine, definitely skiing.
Yeah.
I've started a new bicycle.
Cycling?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just started the bike.
See if you can make it to the end of the drive or not.
I'm never going to use it yet.
Well, did you get BMX with that jumps at the bottom of the road there?
I just went in the garage.
So obviously we've gatecrashed your rehearsal night to night. What are rehearsals like normally for you? Are they kind of formatted, or are they just jamming sessions? Or
again, if we've got something to
depends what we're doing.
Yeah, if we've got something to gear ourselves towards. They're more structured, but if we're jamming and trying to get a set together, if we're playing South of the Inn shortly, we're recording stuff too, so we've got to kind of prioritise. We've got to get a 40-minute set for May anyway, so that's kind of what we really need to get on with. And at the same time, continue writing stuff, so it does depend. Like covers at the moment are out the window, really. It's all original stuff, meantime, and just writing new stuff, but getting up to speed with the stuff we've already done.
Already stuff, yeah. So you touched on earlier that you played the Metal to the Masses. You've also done the Bloodstock, and you've supported acts like Viking Skull and Hark as well. So how has that experience moulded you as a band?
Good, we're very encouraged by that kind of stuff, because the reaction we get for all that big stuff's been very, very positive.
Yeah.
The more we do,
Do you think it's generated more interest in you as a band? Yeah,
definitely. And it's encouraged us that we can push the band far. We're not just a small.
Yeah, you're in it for the long haul rather than.
Yeah, I don't think there was any doubt of that really, because we're all kind of past the kind of disappearing to college kind of age, I guess, in that kind of respect. But I think. We've seen what other bands are like, and we've seen how they act on the stage, and we know we can do it as well. And we can be better, and we can be.
We were better.
We were better. So
cough. So you're going in for a couple of festivals again this year. Is it the Bordy Takeover, Camden Rocks? What else? Planning the Bloodstock again, or?
Chances of getting Bloodstock 2 years in a row is pretty slim. But there's Full Metal Haggis.
Of course, yeah.
That's confirmed ones.
That's confirmed, and we're playing on the Sunday.
Woodstock,
which we played at last year.
Woodstock, where's that? Black Isle?
No, it's what's that roundabout just outside Inverness? Tor roundabout. It's in Tor actually. So.
Okay. So a few closer to home as well. So.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, and we're planning something in September too. A few dates away, so it's quite good.
A wee jaunt
for ourselves.
So, do you have anything else planned this year? We've heard rumour of a second album coming out. Released the first album in February of 2016, wasn't it? So,
Yeah.
So this will be the volume 2, is it, that's coming?
There'll be something.
Yeah.
It is coming.
Yeah.
It's shaping up really nicely. It's sounding pretty good, but it's a long haul, so we're recording it differently.
Want to get it to sound
how we
want
it to sound.
And if that means spending a bit more time on it, then
we're gonna have to.
So be it.
Is it going to be in a similar vein, or is it going to be slightly different now that you've had a lineup change? Or
I suppose.
I guess so.
Well, this one, like, we're all kind of writing it all together. The first one was kind of some songs as Pandy's, some songs you brought together and stuff, and we just kind of threw it together to make the album.
Yeah, it was more of a case of we've got 5 songs, so I've got an idea for a few.
We need more.
That's an album's worth, basically. But this time, because it's been like a continual writing process since the end of the recording of the first album, it's been continual since then. So it's never really stopped, to be honest with you. So there's always been new songs in the go. So.
I think this album will probably there'll be more continuity with it. There'll be probably more of a definitive sound, as opposed to the first
your
one.
own style more than
Yeah, the first one was obviously it was our sound, but there's a few different kind of styles in there. Obviously, Gigolo.
Right, who came up with Gigolo?
Pandy the wrote the song.
But what was the story with the riff? The riff was the actual song itself was. There was a reason for it.
Did you rip somebody off, Pandy?
No.
Did you?
And I originally wrote that riff for blue stuff. And then just dropped it doing a bit and played a wee voice.
That song could
Who did the lyrics?
I did the lyrics.
He's the Bob Dylan.
He's a Leonard Cohen.
Bob a job.
Why did he do the lyrics?
Why? Because it's fit.
You seem to really, really hate that song.
I do, yeah.
Were you in a bad place?
No, I wasn't. That's a really good place. Yeah.
So what's your long-term goals as a band? Do you have for like 5-10 years down the line?
I want to have a wrestling match with Rumham. just
would
me,
be interesting.
Just me against them. I don't care about the rest of them.
Why and against all 4 at the same time? Fine.
They shall lose.
But Well's got a dodgy wing just now, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Smid pushed him. I saw it. So.
Never fucking touched him.
And some take a tumble right now.
Was this him preparing for us stag do?
It must have been.
Oh, I can't go, boys. I have to pollute. You boys just go and have a good time.
Just means they can't tie him up and leave him anymore.
Just tie him up with one hand above his head.
Goals?
I guess probably just push further afield.
Just keep doing what we're doing, really. I mean, it's a long kind of process of applying for things, and some years you get somewhere, some years you don't. You keep getting other gigs further south, which is fine, and the people we work with down there seem to be quite happy and want to book us again, so just keep pushing south. Get more into England, that would be really good.
Yeah, because you're branching out quite a lot and making good contacts wherever you're going.
Exactly,
so,
yeah. And it's amazing just by association who you meet and who knows who, and wherever you are, there's always an Orcadian, so it's
very true.
Yeah, so
catch mate.
So obviously you played with the Broken Ravens a couple of years ago at the festival, and they've just played at LA. Do you think that's something that you could aim for in the future, or?
I don't see why not.
I don't see why not. I mean,
they were only called the Ravens before we played it with them.
That's what I heard as well. Yeah.
Did you break them, Callum?
I think we did.
So just before we finish up as well, I was going to ask, do you have any gigs planned in the very near future? You were speaking about something in May.
In May we're heading down to Edinburgh. We'll hopefully got another gig the night before. Where it's going to be, I don't know. May. End of May as well is the...
Have a list on your phone there, come on,
yeah, anything you want to plug?
Full Metal Haggis, obviously, the end of May, 27th, weekend of the 27th.
Yeah.
Ten Tandoza are on the same...
That's right, yeah. Ten Tandoza and a few other bands we can.
What else? When?
Woodstock's in June. April, got anything in April?
No. So, if you want to book us, then
we're available for bar mitzvahs, weddings.
Yeah. Especially funerals.
Yeah.
We put the fun
Woodstock's in June. Yeah, we've got Woodstock in June. Did you see that?
Yeah.
No. Woodstock.
Yeah.
No, we didn't say it was June, did we?
And then putting something together and kind of after a rock festival kind of time. Starting that weekend.
We've got the shopping week.
Oh yeah, we're playing shopping week again.
Yeah.
Somehow got asked back to that.
Brilliant.
John, mate.
Right?
Is that you? Yeah.
Chatting the committee up.
Well, I think John just let one go.
Yeah. Got that hot sauce, mate. Fucking sweeties at me at the day.
Well, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
So the most exciting thing that's happened in the last few days was Orkney Livewire Committee had a wee social last night, and it was the main reason for the social was to select the visiting bands for Orkney Rock Festival 2018. So, well, we also had beer.
Some folk had beer, some of us had peppermint tea.
And I think, no, I had cider, actually.
So we started off with 28 applicants, and we whittled it down. We each of the committee members had 10 votes each. So we whittled it down last night to, there was 4 clear winners out of, or not so much winners, but 4 acts that were clearly at the top of the table, and then we had a choice of, I think it was 7 or 8 acts that all had about the same number of votes. So we sat down last night and had a little a session with the projector and YouTube and little scorecards, a bit like Eurovision. Everybody with their little flags out. And from that we selected the final 2 acts, so that we've got 6 acts altogether, 6 visiting acts to play at the main event on the 1st of September this year.
Yeah, and once they've confirmed, we'll obviously have to contact them and tell them you've been successful, and if they can, hopefully they can come and play then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite exciting, and I don't know, maybe in a month's time or 6 weeks' time or something we'll be able to announce them.
Yeah, well, hopefully maybe a bit sooner than that, but yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Whenever they can get back to us, really.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously we're still open for any local acts, anybody new and upcoming, or any established bands that want to get in touch with us. They're more than welcome. Just give us a shout on the email at the Orkney Rock Festival at yahoo.co.uk, or send us a message through our Orkney Communities page, the website, which is www.orkneyrockfestival.com.
Or you could even speak to us through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a shout, even if you've played every year and you're a local act, just give us a shout so we can get the schedule nailed quite early this year, so there's no point in getting in touch a month before it, because we'll have everything sorted by then. So
hopefully.
Get in touch with us.
Okay, so there's some gigs coming up shortly. What are we looking forward to? What have we got?
Well, next month in April we've got the return of one of Shetland's finest, 10 Ton Dozer. They're coming down on the 14th to play in the Motorhouse, and they'll be supported by our very own Andy Taylor, who's playing in Rocker.
Yeah.
So,
Rocker. Woo!
So yeah, we'll look forward to the Les Paul coming out that weekend.
I will take the Les Paul out for Jamie. I'll take it out of its sheath and he can wage battle with it.
Is Will going to manage that?
Well,
yeah.
He has no option.
He'll get the drumstick gaffer taped to his hand.
And also, as probably a bit of a warm-up, the night before, Razormouth, who just played the other weekend there, they have their second gig in the Tor Vogue on the Friday the 13th of April. So I'm hoping to get along. I think a few of us are hoping to get along and see that.
Sounds like a good weekend already. It sounds like a mini festival.
Yeah. Obviously, the Sound Archive have a couple of gigs coming up. They have the Cuban Brothers on the 28th of April. So if you're wanting tickets for that, get along to the Sound Archive, or you can buy them online, I think.
Are they on Ticketmaster?
I think so. Something like that. I'm sure if you search it, you'll find it. So. And then also for anybody that just wants a bit of a jam session, which is actually happening today, but there's the Sunday music sessions, which happen the last Sunday of every month in the Ola. And I think there's also some sort of session in the Reel every second weekend in the Reel of the month.
I couldn't find that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you just told me to search it, but I couldn't find it. But there's something on.
There's something there. If you check out the Reel page, they'll be able to tell you.
Yeah.
So. And we have our very own gig coming up, don't we, Christian?
Yeah, we've got the First Foot Soldiers coming down on the 12th of May. We're going to be in the Nuke, Old Matchmaker.
Yep.
But they were just, well, they're hugely received at the first rock festival. Folk keep asking for them again.
Yeah.
They came back the next year and played County Show weekend, and it was sold out again.
They were a standout moment for that first festival, I think. They had everybody singing Hey Jude and Skipper, so it was great.
They do covers that you just don't expect any band to do.
And particularly a band of that age as well, because they're all reasonably young, most of the members. The members in the band range from, I think, 19 to in the mid-30s now.
Yeah, well, Arthur's getting to be an old bugger now, right enough. But yeah, well, you know, they do like ELO, like, who covers ELO, and the Talking Heads, and you know, it's so diverse.
They play songs that everyone would be too frightened to even attempt, you know, like Bohemian Rhapsody. I've heard them play that before.
And pull it off as well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Obviously, you can't do that kind of songs badly, or else you'll crash.
Yeah.
So that should be a good weekend, and we're partly putting this on with them in order to raise some funds for the Rock Festival. So also the band will get paid out of that too. But it would be great to raise a little bit of funds so that we can afford to take these acts up and afford to keep putting the festival on again. Because, as I said, we've said before that we are self-funded, so every little helps.
So don't hide from that bucket if you see it coming around.
Yeah, well, we won't be putting a bucket round because it's a paid event, but tickets will be on sale eventually from Sinclair Offer Supplies. We can have a bucket if you want.
For spewing.
It tend not to be well received when you put them round at paid gigs.
No, I suppose.
Yeah, but yeah, the tickets will be on sale when they're ready from Sinclair Offer Supplies in Stromness and from the Albert Hotel in Kirkwall.
The Albert Hotel, yeah.
And
they should be on sale maybe even next weekend,
yeah.
Hopefully. Pretty soon, within the next week.
But if you keep an eye on our Orkney Livewire Facebook page, then we shall put an announcement out for that shortly. I think there's the chance to get them online as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there's. If you look in the posters, once we get them up, there'll be
from StubHub.
Yeah, StubHub or something like that. Well, that wraps it up again for the podcast. Meantime, thanks a lot, Pandy, for coming in and bearing all again. You got any tracks you want us to play off of Volume 1, Electric Mother?
Let's hear Operation Rolling Thunder. Thank you.
It's goodbye for me, Christian.
And cheerio for me, Claire.
Goodbye from me, Scott. And we'll see you next month.
pick her up. You gotta 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 pick her up. Bombs fall down. Bombs fall
If you enjoy this content, then please feel free to subscribe and drop us a rating. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find this podcast on most, if not all, podcast apps, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Just search Orkney Livewire Podcast. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and you can visit our website at www.orkneyrockfestival.co.uk, or you can contact us by email at orkneyrockfestival@yahoo.co.uk.